when you're in the womb until you're 7 years old, your frontal lobe, where you make conscious decisions, is not developed. So the whole entire part of the brain is in what they call theta wave. And theta wave is the dream state. Theta wave is where you think that whatever it is you're dreaming or whatever it is the information is real and true. A 6-year-old has a broom and it really believes that that broom is a horse. That's the nature of the brain in that part of your life. So all the stuff that gets in there from the moms, the dads, the grandmas, the grandpas, the priests, the rabbis, the teachers, the friends, just goes right into the brain and sticks there and forms the story of your life that
Mhm.
you start telling yourself.
What's up, you beautiful beasts? I'm Katie, and I'm on a mission to help people become their favorite versions of themselves and build whole human health by healing their relationship with food and movement, healing their relationship with their body, and most importantly, healing their relationship with themselves. And we are doing that without obsessing over a number on a scale. I've had the honor of talking with all kinds of incredible humans who have lived through all kinds of experiences because that's part of being a human. Life is messy, painful, beautiful, complicated, and transformative, and sometimes all at once. I wholeheartedly believe that every time someone shares their story, somebody listening will take something from it. Maybe they'll feel seen, maybe they'll feel inspired, maybe they'll learn something that shifts the way they see themselves, their life, their health, or what healing can look like. This podcast tells the stories of humans healing, growing, rebuilding self-trust, and unveiling their beautiful beast. Keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Well, welcome to the Unveiling the Beast podcast. Can you tell myself and the listeners a little bit about who you are and why you think you are who you are?
Oh, what a great question. Yeah, my name is Bill Quateman, and I'm International Director for Advanced BioCell. We are a regenerative medicine company resource, and we do our best to help people live their best life longer. Um, I have a checkered past. I think it's probably what all of us have is a checkered past. I'm a bit more aware of it. I started out life as a recording artist and performer, and I moved into having a publishing company when the record company stuff went sideways. And I wrote a book about step families, and I almost got on the Oprah Winfrey show because they play my music in-house, I found out. And then I didn't have enough books to go on the Oprah Winfrey show. So a doctor in the field of orthomolecular medicine called and said he wanted to write a book about nutrition testing, which he was an expert in. And I said, sure, because I got a publishing company. So that kind of put me into the field, aside from having had a 32-year tutorial with a psychiatry professor from Northwestern University. And over the last 30, 40 years, having been mentored by and studied with and learned from some of the finest integrative regenerative medicine practitioners in the world. So I've had a very privileged and humbling experience in learning about how the body works and how we can help it stay that way.
Mm, I love that. And I want to ask you, based on what I read, um, everything that you put in your application, I want to ask you, what is your gut definition of health?
It's more than a gut definition of health. I think it's a most profound and realistic definition of health. There's any number of ways you can call it, but health, I believe, is truly energy.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have energy, you're sick or ill or diseased. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the biggest comparison would be on your deathbed. How's your energy? Not good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, another definition I like a lot is peace in the midst of chaos. And that opens the conversation to the 10,000 things of how do you have peace in the midst of
Yeah.
chaos? What kind of chaos are you talking about? And there's all kinds. And all kinds of peace that can come from whatever it is you do or stop doing that'll help create the peace. So that's a pretty good intro, I think.
Absolutely. And I ask because I've noticed like people, you say health and people are like, oh, it's what you eat and how you move, and then that's it. And it's like, no, it's so much more than that. But I like that you describe it as energy because so many of us don't have any, or it's very low and we're at capacity.
Yeah, Katie, uh, most of the people that we see at Advanced BioCell have that very uh, same complaint, that problem. They have no energy, they feel fatigued, they're just dragging, or they just don't feel like they used to feel. They're not sick, but
Hmm.
they're not well.
Yeah. Do these do they typically like go to the doctor and the doctor's like, "Oh, you're fine," but they're still feeling crappy?
Well, yeah, all the time. That's why they come
Yeah.
to see us because they've been going to the doctor and nothing's changing. People don't, I think people are more and more, excuse me, realizing that the Western conventional model is basically based on revenues, that big pharma, big medicine, big food, big agri, big government simply are focused on making money and have a total disregard for human health. And that being the case, people aren't getting any better. They're just getting more medications. There are many good people in the medical field. My dear friend and medical director, Dr. Tom Loeb, is a medical savant and one of the kindest, most wonderful men I know. He's a scientist and a conventional medicine doctor. He's a surgery professor at the University of Illinois Medical School in Chicago. He's a practicing surgeon. He's a naturopathic doctor. He's a global stem cell expert. He won't be entertaining any ideas unless there is data behind it, and that's
Hmm.
real. But that's how he's actually built the regenerative medicine protocols and treatments that are actually the best because they're the ones that actually get results. So, as people more and more are becoming more aware that they need to take care of themselves by finding out from some good source, a good coach, what it is that will help you take care of your miracle body, that's really going to lead you into a whole new level of health.
Yeah. And I think too the if it's a good coach, they know that each individual is individual. Like every single person is different. So, how do you speak to that?
Well, when someone comes in to see us, most of the folks that come into Advanced BioCell come because they found our ozone therapy, or they found our stem cells, or they found our nutrition testing with hair tissue mineral analysis. And so they come in, they have a headache, they can't think straight, they have some gut issues, they get bloating, they get constipation, they can't sleep, the libido's low. Can I fix it? Well, that's from the old model. Got a symptom. Can you help me fix? Well, yeah, 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 we can. But, let's look deeper. Let's find out what's causing the trouble. And, they come in and I can tell you right away in 5 minutes, there's malnutrition probably going on. There's oxidative stress probably going on. There's for sure inflammation going on. There's for sure mitochondria, the little battery packs in every cell that aren't making the energy that your body needs. Your metabolic function isn't working. Your thyroid and your adrenals probably need attention. I'm sure when someone comes in with whatever issue they have, that's what's going on. But we do start on a step-by-step basis to say, okay, well, yes, we can help you get your life back. That's what we
Hmm.
do. But let's go on a, little journey into a step by step. What's causing the trouble? How did you get here? And understand that a symptom is more than anything, it's a signal from your body. Hey, 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 we need some help here. Something's off. Something needs to be fixed.
Yeah. So then you then ask like obviously questions from their past and their habits and daily behaviors and things like that.
Oh, well, absolutely. What we do is really work with what we call the whole person.
Hmm.
You might have a symptom, but that symptom's connected to your entire miracle body, and so we talk about relationships. We talk about what you eat. We talk about what you don't eat that you should eat. We talk about what you just stop eating. What supplements are you taking? How do you like the work that you do, the job that you have?
Hmm.
Um, you're going to get enough sleep. What's your exercise routine? I mean, everybody's got an entire picture of what they do every day. How are you talking to yourself? What's your self-talk like? Do you talk to yourselves? Do you talk to your heart? Do you talk to your brain and say, "Hey, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you for helping." I mean, all these things matter. And are you smiling at people? Are you changing your own biochemistry with some smiles and having somebody smile back at you? How many hugs are you getting a day? Because 7 hugs improve your immune function. There's a lot of basics that can really help tremendously.
Yeah, I love all that because it's very in sync with what I'm doing because like I said, it's not just what you eat and how you move, it's also how are you sleeping. I think sleep, in my opinion, is probably the most important because it pours into everything else. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Yeah.
like I've been recently, not that it ever needed a label, but I've been calling it whole human health because it
Perfect.
is just it's all of the things in your life. Mental health. What does your environment look like? Is your environment cluttered, making your brain cluttered, and vice versa? Is your brain cluttered, making your environment cluttered? Are you participating in stress relief for yourself? Not like go spend $100 million on a massage and spa day, but like, are you just sitting there with yourself for 5 minutes every day? Things like
What?
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think one of the best things someone can do is to sit in silence for just a few minutes every once in a while or regularly. You could not be more correct, Kate.
Yeah. I don't know why I feel the need to tell you this, but I just bought myself a hammock. I
I
haven't
love
set it up
hammocks.
yet. I haven't set it up yet, but I live on the side of a mountain and so I want to like set it up so I could just be there, even if it's for 5 minutes a day.
Where do you live? Where do you live?
Agua Dulce, California.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful place. Beautiful place.
Yeah, it's really pretty here.
So it's outside. You're going to put it between a couple trees, or is it got a metal frame?
It has a metal stand, and I think I'm gonna put it, I actually, my husband and I got married in the front yard here. This is my mom's house, and we
Oh,
just,
nice.
long story, we converted her garage into an apartment. But um yeah, so I think I'm gonna put it over there so I could look at the view and like also have the memories and like, I don't know. It'll be it's peaceful here. It's very
That's
peaceful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
One of the most important parts of longevity is good, beautiful, caring, loving relationships.
Hmm. Yeah,
I was
that's
just
another
on the
piece.
phone.
Healthy
Yeah,
relationships.
relationships,
Yeah.
healthy relationships, very important. People in the blue zones. People have heard of the blue zones. People live
Hmm.
long in the blue zones, and what they do in the blue zones has to do with all the things we talk about. And one of them is really important. They have long-term, loving, caring relationships that they still enjoy into their older
Hmm.
years, and that's just very important stuff. No matter what you're
Yeah.
eating is there, but all that stuff.
Yeah. And to clarify for the listeners, that's not just romantic relationships either. It's like friendships, your relationship with your family, all of it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because toxicity, I think, can be present and you can't, and sometimes you're not even aware that there's toxicity in a relationship until you're out of it. I've been there, so yeah.
I think we all have.
Hmm.
Well, we've all had, the problem that I believe people have is the interferences,
Hmm.
whether it's interferences with your nutrition or your your metabolic function or your psychology or your spirit or negative people in your life or bad air in your home or
Mm.
lousy water coming out of the shower, whatever it gets to be. It's all the interferences. I'm very dear friends with one of the greatest souls on earth, Dr. Reverend Michael Beckwith. He is a spiritual leader of the Agape International Spiritual Center, and he calls it stinking thinking.
Hmm.
It's the
I like that.
starting point for all the stuff that, just interferes. It just interferes.
Yeah. I'm curious what you say to the person who has stinking thinking. For me, I ask the question, do you speak to your child that way, or would you speak to your younger self that way? Um, so yeah, what would be some things that you would say to the person who's really mean to themselves all the time?
Yeah, well, the one of the best ways to come to terms with any change and really intelligence is someone's willingness and openness to change is to ask yourself better questions.
Mm,
Sit down for a moment and ask yourself, how does it feel when you talk badly to yourself? How do you feel? How would you feel if you talk nicely to yourself, lovingly to yourself? What would that feel like? Who would be someone you could speak with to help you learn how to do that better? We all are missing in many ways some of the greatest resource on earth, which is other human beings.
hmm.
Everybody has a coach of one kind or another. You were in the womb and up till 7 years old, you didn't know it, but everybody who said anything to you ever, or even felt one way or another around you, was putting in information. You could call that a coach, not necessarily because you weren't asking for the information. And you couldn't decide whether that was good or bad information because you didn't have the brain power to choose. But that information gets in there. And now, as we're older, we're so influenced by the internet and by the cell phone and by the text and by the social media and by the movies and all the stuff that goes on that we neglect our inner conversation. So the first thing to do is to say, okay, I think it'd be a good idea for me to have some self-observation. I think it'd be a good idea for me to have some self-investigation. And that means going inside and paying attention to your heart. We call it heart-centered awareness. Start
Mm,
there. There's so many wonderful, wonderful books a person could read, so many, many wonderful be bits of information that are available. Michael Singer wrote a book called The Untethered Soul, which is
mm,
one of the best books about meditation ever. He wrote another book called Living Untethered, which talks about how all of us have these blockages that are keeping the beautiful energy from flowing in our body. Tony Robbins has amazing conversations through his Unleash the Power Within information. Greg Braden is another author that writes about how we can best live a better life with the way that we think and the way we talk to ourselves and the way that we sit still and the information that we pay attention to other than television or internet or social media, those kinds of things. It's a little bit of a shift, but it's an important one.
yeah. And what are we feeding ourselves with? Like we're in a world where we can't really completely avoid all those things, but we can choose what's in our algorithm. Does that make sense? Like you can go through there and completely change what you're seeing. So what do you
Yeah,
see?
yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Choice. I think that's God's joke, free will.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. You can think whatever you want. Pizza Hut, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, social media, endless stuff on TikTok? Is that what you're choosing? Or are you choosing to say, okay, I would like to learn something else from someone in a little deeper end of the pool?
Yeah. One of the concepts I love is noticing without judging. And my listeners are probably sick of me saying this, but it was such a big thing in my own healing. Just noticing behaviors, noticing thoughts, noticing things you're saying to yourself. Try not to judge them, but just notice that you do it. Because so many times we're on autopilot. We don't even know what we're doing and saying and thinking. But once it's brought to our attention, then we're at choice to keep doing the thing if we like it or to change it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. You know, one of the greatest psychologists of all time, Carl Jung, uh, talked about that very basic issue in the most profound
Mhm.
way, which is to say, bring the unconscious material into consciousness. That gives you a chance, again, to make a choice. You know,
Mhm.
again, when you're in the womb until you're 7 years old, your frontal lobe, where you make conscious decisions, is not developed. So the whole entire part of the brain is in what they call theta wave. And theta wave is the dream state. Theta wave is where you think that whatever it is you're dreaming or whatever it is the information is real and true. A 6-year-old has a broom and it really believes that that broom is a horse. That's the nature of the brain in that part of your life. So all the stuff that gets in there from the moms, the dads, the grandmas, the grandpas, the priests, the rabbis, the teachers, the friends, just goes right into the brain and sticks there and forms the story of your life that you
Mhm.
start telling yourself.
Mhm.
And until you look at some of that or all of that, or continually go in for some look, you're just running on autopilot, like you said, and it's like programs on a computer that are open that are taking up space and energy. So that is really a crucial piece, is to learn about yourself, to know what it is you're choosing.
Mhm. And then you can decide what's actually mine and what is borrowed from the outside world. What are my actual values versus what do I think I should write down on the paper because somebody else said I should, you know? That's that that's the deep work is like figuring out who you really are. That's the beast, unveiling the beast. So, um, yeah.
That's a great analogy. You know, Peter Gabriel, who's one of my favorite songwriters, who wrote a song that talks about, you know, going into the forest at night and you peer into this house and there is a beast asleep in the house at night. And in the context of his song, he's revealing the idea that it's really not so scary. It's a friendly looking little beast. It's a friendly little creature. And if you make friends with it, chances are you'll learn something that you might not have felt was even possible. And truly, that's part of, again, going into the darkness, realizing that that stuff there is there to help you one way and another, as long as you can be unflinching about what might be the discomforts when you look at stuff.
I'm gonna take a hard left. Um, this is a podcast of stories, and I love everything. Like, I love this whole conversation. And do you have a story, which I'm sure you do because you're human, of the word that's coming to me again is triumph, where you either completely shifted the direction of your life by stopping something that was bad for you or starting something that was good for you, or any kind of like mental shift that you had that completely changed what you're doing and why? Does that make sense?
Yes, 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 yes. I would say, Katie, that my whole life has been an unfolding story of one benefit or another. Every time I've come up to one kind of obstacle or challenge or another, I have had the good fortune of saying, okay, well, this doesn't feel good, but I bet there's something else behind this that I just don't see right now that's even better. So starting in the beginning, I had an illustrious career in show business. BillQuateman.com has all my music and all my songs, and that's where I started with a big record company executive and had a big flash and was very close to the gold ring at that time. And then the executive got fired, and I fell victim to the minions of A&R guys who wanted me to be somebody else as a writer and recording artist than I wanted to be. And of course, they dropped me from the label. And I thought, oh God, what am I going to do now? So then I just kept doing some shows in Chicago. I had a great following and was still, determined to get that gold ring. And then I started a family, and then my son was born, and I was really enchanted with being a housewife. So I stayed home for 5.5 years, and a friend in Chicago supported me with work on jingles and so forth. And shopping and schlepping and cooking and cleaning and mommy and me, and that was really wonderful. And then I needed to get back to work when he was 5.5 years old because he went to school. And so I worked as a waiter, and then I got work as a production assistant in an advertising agency. And then a fellow I went to school with was a big writer in Hollywood, and he was co-creator of a TV show called NYPD Blue. He had heart disease. So
Mm.
with the background I had from my psychiatry professor education, we started making carrot juice. He would have me in every day, and I would make organic vegetable juice based with carrots for him for his heart disease. He was a betting guy, so he had a Beverly Hills blue blood cardiologist, and he also bet on the carrot juice. So I was doing
Mm.
that, and then he put me on the sound stage, and I was making carrot juice in between takes for the cast and the crew. And then I tried to get, when the season was over, into some other production companies to be a health coach. And no, it was too early in the game, and people didn't want to do that. So I went to work for a environmental health network marketing company with shower filters and great products. And then I needed to sustain the family, so I went to work for a shipping company, was doing there. And then I started the journey with the book that I wrote called Daddy Daughter Dinner Dance, which was all about step families. And my daughter wrote these little pithy descriptions of the fabulous drawings that she did for some of the stuff. This is a cat that knows everything. And
Mm.
then when that book went its course, I got the call from this doctor, this naturopath, who wanted to write his book, and I co-wrote that book with him and edited that book and published that book. And then I built the company with him for a while, and then things between us changed, and I took a left turn and created Advanced BioCell. And since that time, in about 2016, I've been mentored, like I mentioned, by some of the finest practitioners in the world, my dear friend, Dr. Loeb, and really kind of emulating so much of the work he's done. And it was really just one thing after another that was charming my mind. I figured I will just follow out this adventure. And instead of thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do now? I would think, oh my God, what am I going to do now? So there's a
Mm.
different inflection to the same phrase,
Yeah.
right? So I guess it was just being open to challenges and obstacles as learning and growing and progressive experiences.
Mm. Tell us more about Advanced BioCell. I'm very curious.
Sure, sure. Uh, when I was making records and songs, I wanted to do for people what Bob Dylan and the Beatles did for me, which is give them flashes of insights into how life is lived, how life can be lived, what some of the problems are, what some of the pitfalls can be, how you can work through them and the like, and have some kind of revelation about why people feel the way they feel and think the way they think and do what they do. So when I traded in the guitars and the synthesizers for the computers and the emails and the cell phones, it's really pretty much what we do. What we do is actually what we're calling peak span. Now, the conversation in the wellness and the longevity community is basically, life extension, age reversal, slowing the aging process, um, biohacking, all those kinds of things, which are really important starting points. What we're talking about is peak span. And peak span is what we call living your best life longer. So instead of just length of life, it's like how well can you be immediately? What people don't realize is that the decline of the body begins in the early 30s with inflammation, oxidative stress, your mitochondria production and functionality and population starts to fall off. Your stem cells production starts to fall off. Your metabolic function starts to get skewed. You're collecting toxins and pollutants and bugs and infections since you're born. They're replicating and proliferating. And who in the world is talking to you about detoxification and cleansing? And so, Advanced BioCell does its best to bring these realities into people's consciousness more than just, okay, I got a symptom, can you fix it, as we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
So the idea is to take people into the idea that, how soon, this is a good question, how soon and when do you think it would be a good idea to start working against that decline? So we have ozone therapy, we have stem cell therapy, arguably the finest stem cell program in the world. We have nutrition testing with hair tissue mineral analysis, which is, again, arguably the finest assessment of each individual's biochemistry. It is a digital measurement of your mineral imbalances, which is the basic element that makes or breaks your metabolic function, which is how your body makes the energy it needs.
Hmm.
So, what we do then is the laboratory has a design of supplements that's matched to each individual's digital measurements and at very high-end laboratory manufacturers. So it takes all the guesswork out. We call it knowing instead of guessing
Mm,
about your own health and wellness. So you don't have to guess about supplements anymore at Whole Foods.
I love that. And I love the piece of like not only do you want to extend your life, but how are you living that life? Because what's the point in extending a life that you hate? I like to talk about I like to help people become their favorite version of themselves. I used to say
Right.
best, but sometimes that's not your favorite. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, it does. At the same time, I think if you're at your best, you are in favor of it, is my thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you like what you do and you do what you like, if you do what you love, you'll never work another day in your life. So,
Yeah.
again, Katie, the most powerful force in the universe is love.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone realizes that and can start relating to it with their heart-centered awareness, um, everything changes. I mean, it's just simple and plain. People say, well, I want more love in my life. Well, you can't have more love in your life because all the love there is already there. You've just got some blockages and interferences with feeling it or knowing it. So let's remove the blockages and get rid of the interferences so that love can start coursing through your veins.
Yeah. And that too, I think goes into the deeper work of because there's people that think they don't deserve love or, you know, whatever it is that's blocking them. I totally lost my train of thought.
Well, that's
It
okay.
happens sometimes.
What
Yeah.
you're talking about, Katie, actually comes from, again, those old stories. Somewhere along the line,
Yeah.
you were a young kid, and someone said, that's one of the biggest problems people have is they don't feel worth it. They don't
Hmm.
feel they're worth whatever. I'm not tall enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not. cute enough. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not healthy enough. Whatever it is, I'm not enough is a common theme. And so then you want to say, okay, ask a good question. Where did that come from? Why do I think I'm not worthy?
Mm-hmm.
And blow it up, get rid of it because you are.
Yeah. That's a good question to ask is whose voice is that? Is that really my voice being mean to me, or is that somebody else's voice? And that that can help you get to the realization that you have value because you do, and that you are worthy because you are. Like there's no preset, like you have to do this in order to earn worth and value. You already have it when you're born.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. You know, one of the favorite phrases that I resonate with is we're all born perfect with infinite room for improvement.
Hmm. I know this is kind of a side tangent, but um, I have this theory that we're all born geniuses because my son hit his head so many times when he was a baby. I'm my guess is we're all born geniuses, but you know, we fall and we get back up, we scrape our knee, we hit our head when we're kids, and that genius level is just a side funny thing that I came up with. But yeah, anyway,
Well, we all go,
not
yeah, we
related,
do.
but
No, no, it is. It's totally related because think of it like, what is a 1-year-old doing? A 1-year-old could not care less about all the time it falls.
mm-hmm,
The only thing on that 1-year-old's mind is getting up again, getting up again, getting up again, fall on its ass. No, you can get up again. That's the one thing that matters more than anything else. Doesn't matter how many
yeah,
times you fail, just a matter of how many times you get up and stay at it. How hungry are you? How passionate are you? How willing are you to break through the stuff that causes trouble?
yeah.
The key is if anybody would like to know what we do or connect with what we do, you can reach us at advancedbiocell.com. You can call us at 310-550-6767. Only happy to help. That's what we're here for. And feel free to call us anytime you want. I'm happy to be involved with anybody that wants to feel better.
Mm, thank you. I'll put all that in the
Good.
show notes too for the listeners. They can just click it.
Sure, sure, sure,
Um,
sure.
but I do have one more question for you, and I ask at the end
Please.
of every single episode, and that is if you, if everyone in the world stopped what they were doing and looked at you and said, Bill, please give me some advice, what would you say?
I would say the best advice you could get is to sit still and be quiet and ask for infinite awareness to shower down on you. And then the other thing would be that simply and plainly, there's one of two ways to look at how you live your life. One way is that you believe that nothing is a miracle, and the other way is that you can believe everything is a miracle.
Boom. Beautiful beasts. Bill Quateman signing off. Until next time.